I can't tell actually. I'm sorry. My head isn't on straight. We know this. Every picture I've ever taken, I look like this. Get in the photo.
I'm in the photo.
In the photo.
Jeez.
What's up, guys, and welcome to CNA Films and Animation's second nostalgic review. We're watching the Land Before Time 4, 5, and 6 this week.
Now, if you guys missed it, 2 weeks ago we reviewed Land Before Time 1 through 3. You can go check that out if you want, but as we said in our previous video, we're going to review the other 3 movies that we grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you want to start?
Want me to start? It don't matter.
Okay.
I might start.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead?
Alright. The Land Before Time 4, Journey Through the Mist, is by, by the same director, or should I just not even worry about it?
It don't matter. Either way, I mean, I don't think we mentioned director last time.
We didn't. Okay, so, no. Land Before Time 4, Journey Through the Mist, follows Littlefoot and his friends back in the Great Valley, and it starts out with the narrator saying there's a bunch of changes outside the valley that have no effect on the valley at all, and a wandering herd of longnecks migrate through the valley, and no sooner do they show up than Littlefoot's grandfather becomes ill, and
soon through one of the older dinosaurs that come, one of the older longnecks that come through, they learn that the only way to cure Littlefoot's grandfather is to find this golden flower that can only be found in
their homeland,
which is filled with mist.
Yes, it has become pretty much a swamp land, and all of the herd are too scared to go back. They left that. They don't want to ever go back. But Littlefoot, along with his new friend Allie, a female longneck from the herd, about his age, decide to go sneak off in the middle of the night to find the night flower.
And soon enough it becomes a story. The other gang try to find Littlefoot and what was her name again?
Allie,
yeah. They go off to find Allie. They meet up, and they come across a couple of villains.
Yeah. Gil? Is it Gil or Dill?
I think a Dill.
Dill and Icky. These are good villains. For a sequel, these villains are pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Icky is a small bird of some sort,
mm-hmm.
and Dill is a giant crocodile. They're a partnership. It works. They don't even like each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Icky's the eyes, Dill's the teeth. That's it. That is as far as their relationship goes.
And they have a pretty funny song together once you first start to meet them halfway through the movie. And it's not fully catchy, but it is definitely memorable. I remember it from my childhood. And it's one that, it really kind of shows their relationship together. And it does it really well. It's pretty funny.
Yes, and as far as the songs go in this series, it's one of the better ones.
Mm-hmm.
A song that is later sung by the character Allie is also a pretty good one. Let's see.
And also the older dinosaur who comes through the valley has a really good number. It was kind of a softer, slower song, I guess.
The older one that came through the
Yeah, the old one.
No, she didn't have a song.
Yeah, she did. Thought she did.
Grandma had a song.
That was Grandma? I thought that was the old one.
The one that had the circle of life.
Was that it?
Yeah, it was Littlefoot's grandma.
Oh, okay. Well, she had a good song.
Well, you gotta edit all that out.
That's all right. Littlefoot's grandma had a pretty good song as well. It was a much softer song. It was slower.
Yeah.
But, it was actually sung really well. And I give them props for that, because most of these movies, from what we've watched, a lot of them kind of get on my nerves a little bit, just because the singing in them are kind of like nails to a chalkboard to me at times.
They try to stick to the character's voice, and a lot of times it doesn't work in these films. Let's see.
But it definitely works for this fourth film.
Back to the story, since we kind of got jumped off there. They find... no. We kind of skipped the whole Caven deal.
No. Was it fully important?
Well, no, but... Alright. They find the flower by accident. Pretty much. It's like, oh, the flower found us. Yay! They make their way back, and they get attacked by the evil duo again.
And Dill and Icky.
Yes. And Dill almost eats Ducky, but the friends are able to get her to safety by yelling at her. And that's the point where Spike talks for the first time. And says pretty much his only line in the whole series.
And what was really neat was I didn't recognize him, and I usually do, but I found out that it was actually Rob Paulson who did the voice of Spike. I mean, that surprised me, just because I didn't recognize his voice, and I usually can. So that was pretty neat to see.
And after that experience, they head back to the valley and give Littlefoot's grandfather the flower, and he eats it, and he becomes well within a couple minutes. Straightforward. I thought the story was pretty good, especially for one of the sequels. What did you think, Corey?
Yeah, I would say that this movie was my favorite sequel of all the 5 sequels that we've watched and are going to review. And I'd say
6.
I'm not counting the first one.
5.
I said sequels.
5 sequels. Okay.
Okay. Backtrack. Okay. Of the 5 sequels to the series, I would say that the 4th one is my favorite. It had the strongest villain. It had the strongest music. It was probably the one sequel that had the most depth, and it hits all the right notes, and that's what a sequel should do. So I mean, I really like this one.
So what would you give it out of 10?
Out of 10, I will probably give this one a 7.2 out of 10.
7.2? I'd probably give it a 7.3. It was good. It had good parts. It was one of the better sequels. of this series. And now on to The Land Before Time 5.
The Land Before Time 5, The Mysterious Island, is about the game, and we just watched this one too.
It's a normal day in the Great Valley till...
Is this the one where the bugs come?
Yeah.
Okay, I got it.
Alright then.
Land Before Time 5, The Mysterious Island, follows the Littlefoot and his friends, and suddenly a swarm of locusts come and eat up all the green leaves and trees and all that, completely devastating the Great Valley.
Yes, they leave it in pretty much a wasteland state in a minute.
Mm-hmm. And so it's pretty much up to Littlefoot and the gang to try and find green land, basically. And the parents, they're trying to find green land, and the kids run off and they go and they basically come across an ocean.
Yes.
And they take a drink. It's salt water. They think it's nasty, even though Spike will just swallow it whole.
Yes. And then they see off in the distance an island and a strip of land that connects it. And they decide to go check out the island because it looks like has green food on it. And about halfway across, waves start destroying the pathway. And they end up getting washed up on the shore.
And pretty much they're stuck on this island. They want to get back to the mainland, where their parents are and everything. But one positive thing is that this island has a bunch of green, a bunch of vegetation.
Yes.
And to them it's kind of weird tasting, but they, for the most part, they don't mind. And they try to get across the ocean again on a log.
Yes.
And basically a shark comes along and prevents them from really getting across. And that's when they come across an old friend of theirs, Chomper.
Yep, Chomper is back, and he's about double the size.
Yep.
And he can talk now.
Yes.
No idea why, because he's the only sharp tooth that can talk.
Mm-hmm. Even his parents, his parents are kind of like Chewbacca's parents in the sense that that's a bad...
Chewbacca's parents?
Oh, the Christmas special.
Oh, okay.
That's a bad example because at least this had subtitles. The Christmas special did not.
Oh, there's probably hardly anybody's seen the Christmas special.
Oh, I've only seen parts of it. But the thing is, the Christmas special had 20-minute long segment of Chewbacca and his parents talking without any subtitles. So you just hear just 20 minutes of that.
I'm sorry. The power of editing is going to be great with this one.
Yep, as well as the Force.
Mention that, I might do that. Oh, where were we? We were talking about something. Yes, meet Chomper, and there's this whole thing about friendship, even though they're different, and Chomper's parents want to eat them, pretty much. They talk too, but in growls, and it subtitles it.
Yeah.
Which, for young children who aren't able to read yet, that may not work. But I guess the older kids that can read, they would understand it. And Chomper decides to hide them in a place he thinks no Sharptooth will find them besides him. And they try to think of a way to get back, and while they're doing this, a another sharp tooth on the island that Chomper is unaware of tries to eat them, and he tries to save his friends, and then this sharp tooth tries to eat him, which causes his parents to fight that one. A neat thing about the fight was it actually shows blood, which I thought was very interesting because I don't even think the first one showed blood. Like, it doesn't just show like a little scratch or something. This other sharp tooth, I keep wanting to call it just the T-Rex or something, but it's what the show called it, so that's what I want to call it.
Okay.
Tell me the
Judgment.
Too late.
I judge.
Too bad. Anyway, this other sharp tooth scratches Chomper's father across the snout, and you see blood fly. I'm like, this was in a Land Before Time movie? Wow.
Yeah, it does kind of come out of nowhere. It's a little bit of a surprise, but honestly, it's a little. It is kind of surprising because it is a kids movie, and it's a little gore. It's not like graphic or anything.
No,
it's just like a little blood. But I mean, for a kids film, you almost never see that. So
yeah.
I felt at an artistic standpoint, the kind of realism that they put there might not be the best for some kids, but I don't think it's like going to.
It shouldn't scar them for life.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, I didn't even remember it growing up. So
I remember one of the cuts, but I didn't remember it blood flying. I did not remember that. Then after the evil sharp tooth, which all of them in this series are evil, but the other evil sharp tooth is defeated, they find a ride randomly from a friendly plesiosaur, and they're able to go to their parents who have found this oasis, which they decide to stay there till the valley grows back. It was alright. I really liked it growing up. Coming back to it, not as great as I remembered, but it's still an alright film. What do you think, Corey?
This one, this film was okay. I mean, it didn't blow me away by any means, but I didn't dislike it at all. I didn't have any problems with it either. Some of the music is a little iffy at best. There is a pretty funny kind of joke, I guess, regarding that they turn into a song of Chomper getting food for his friends and saying that he had friends for dinner, and Littlefoot and the gang think that he means that he's going to eat them, but really he means that he's just going to gather food for them. And
yeah,
I mean, it's kind of a cute idea.
Yeah, that song's okay. The singing is a little odd. I did like when he's dragging this hugely filled with vegetables. His parents see him and like, something's not right with that boy. Yeah. Of course, a little kid would have no idea what they were talking about because it has subtitles right there.
But yeah, I mean, the fifth one is not the best, but it's not the worst either. And so I would say that I kind of liked it, but I didn't fully love it like I did when I was younger. So what would you give it out of 10?
Out of 10, I would probably give it a 7. It's still an alright film. I still liked it growing up. I think it's alright now. I'd show it to my kids whenever I have kids. But that's beside the point. It could have been better. It could have been worse. So I'll give it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm going to give this film a 6.3 out of 10.
6.3. Oh, I seem really high. Thanks. That's why I want you to do it first.
No, you're fine. My vote shouldn't affect your vote at all.
It affects it a lot.
Shouldn't.
Every bit.
So, yeah, you know, not a bad film, but it's not the best either. So, going on to our next film, and this is the final film that we were going to review of the Land Before Time movies. The Land Before Time, The Secret of Source Rock. This was the sixth film of the series, and you know, at this point, I felt like it had different art designers, different like a different tone.
Yeah, it seemed much brighter, even compared to the others. To me, not as much detail. There's still detail, but it's lost even what it had.
It's not Don Bluth's detail.
Well, none of them have been Don Bluth's detail. This is by the fourth director? Third director in this that the series has seen. The story opens up where Littlefoot's grandfather is telling the children a story about this this legend in the Great Valley of this giant T-Rex who is rampaging across the valley, and this lone dinosaur, which is pretty much the Land Before Time equivalent of the Lone Ranger.
See if your kids get that one.
They won't, but let's go anyway. The lone dinosaur pretty much defeats him, and for some reason there is out of the ground comes this giant statue of the lone dinosaur, complete with the teeth. It has like the teeth around of the
T-Rex.
sharp tooth. He beat around its neck as a trophy. A little odd, but it's a legend. Okay.
And pretty much this kind of sparks a interest in the kids. You know, a loner comes to the Great Valley. He has a big scar on his face, just like the legend. He helps save Littlefoot from falling down.
Yes.
From what was he falling down from?
He was pretending to be the lone dinosaur. They were playing it, and he climbs up on top of this rotted log, he falls, and this stranger, whose name is Doc, rescues him, and Littlefoot becomes convinced that Doc is the lone dinosaur, and he wants to prove it, and they go to where the statue is, and while they're there, Sarah, the Triceratops' nieces.
Yeah, that one's kind of hard for me to accept. I mean, let me kind of sidebar here. The nieces really do come out of nowhere in the story. You never know that Sarah has an older brother or sister. You know, it's just kind of, I always thought that Sarah was the oldest. And to hear that she actually had an older sibling of some kind, never mentioned before in any of the previous shows, and now she's an aunt, it really was kind of a big shock.
Yeah, throughout, you see in a couple of the earlier ones, they'll have brothers and sisters. The second one at the end, even Spike has a little brother or sister for somehow. and he's an orphan. It makes no sense. But
and they completely disappear after that film,
yes,
with the exception of Ducky. Ducky tends to continue to have.
yeah, she has brothers and sisters that she is never around, which is odd, but okay. And in this film, she even says she has 13 brothers and sisters who were born at the same time as her. Sure, why not? Let's go with it. Anyway, as they are at the statue, Sarah's nieces are playing on it, and they cause one of the teeth to fall off of the necklace that's around the statue, which apparently causes bad luck for the valley.
And due to this bad luck, one of the ponds, lakes.
Yeah.
What is it?
Pond dries up. There's bad luck happening to Littlefoot and his friends. Then a tornado goes through the valley, and the valley inhabitants think that the strange dinosaur is the cause of all of their bad luck. Littlefoot and his friends know that that's not the reason. It's because they broke the statue. And Littlefoot has the idea to fix it, which he decides to fix it by getting the tooth of a sharp tooth that had chased them from the statue. We didn't mention that. It chased them from the statue and fell down a big crevice. Littlefoot decides to go get one of the sharp tooth's teeth and replace it. And he gets there, and it turns out the sharp tooth is still alive. Apparently, sharp tooth can fall from any height and be fine. It happens at the first one too. It's okay, sure, why not? Which this leads to a showdown between
Littlefoot's grandfather and
Doc against two
sharp
teeth, which they cause a giant rock pillar to fall on the two sharp teeth, which knocks out one of the teeth, and they replace the broken one on the statue. It's not really a statue. I keep calling it a statue, but it's a giant rock formation. That's what it is. That looks like a long neck. Okay, sure. What this story is trying to do, the theme, it's kind of saying that there are heroes and legends, but there are also heroes in our everyday lives. For this one, it's Littlefoot's grandfather is his hero. It puts that message. It's an alright message. The film's alright.
And I actually did like the ending. The ending is, it kind of goes back to what the opening scene was, and it shows Littlefoot and Sarah and Petrie, Ducky, all telling the story of this great legend, and it turns out that the legend is now Littlefoot's grandfather instead of Lone Ranger, and the narrator comes on and says something along the lines of the legend will change throughout each generation, and it'll continue on having a different hero. And I felt that was actually a neat twist.
Yeah, did you ever watch this one growing up?
I saw it when I was a little older. I think I might have been 12, 13 when I first saw it. So, I was a little bit older when I saw it, but it's been a good 7 or 8 years since I last saw it. So I mean, I don't have as much of an emotional attachment to this one as, you know, say you.
Yeah.
But you know, I would say that no. Cut what I'm gonna say. Go ahead.
I grew up with this one. I watched it a lot. It was one of my favorite ones. It's alright. There's some odd points in it. The singing, not that great. As I think I said, it's as close as a Western as Land Before Time could get.
Mm-hmm.
It was okay. It had some fun parts. What would you give this one, Corey?
Well, before I get into my rating, I just wanted to say that I actually did quite like this one. Not as much as, say, 4 or the first one by any means, but
Yeah.
I mean, I did like some elements of it. I did like some of the Western twists. I thought it was odd that they had a taxi driver reference in this film.
Yeah.
The "you talking to me" phrase. And I mean, it kind of reminded me of the Man with No Name westerns, you know, the spaghetti western type movies. And you know, I felt that for the most part it kind of worked. Not great by any means, but it was enjoyable enough. And so with that, I'm going to give this film a probably a 5.9.
5.9?
Can't get quite up to 6, but I do feel that it's better than, you know, say a low 5. I mean, it's pretty decent.
I enjoyed it, and I did growing up. I enjoyed watching it. It was a little cornier than I remembered, but different, seeing it with a different set of eyes, and you know, I'd probably have to rate this one for what I remembered and what I liked. A 7 out of 10 again. I enjoyed it. It has some good theme. Good. It was alright.
Well, that pretty much concludes our episode for this week. In 2 weeks, we will have reviews. We'll have nostalgic reviews for Invader Zim. Let's see, SpongeBob SquarePants, Fairly Odd Parents, and I think Jimmy Neutron.
It was on there.
Yeah, it's on there.
Next.
Basically, we're going to take a look at a handful of the Nickelodeon cartoons.
Nickelodeon nostalgia.
Yeah, that we grew up with that are on Netflix. So we're going to basically talk about a handful of Nickelodeon cartoons next week, in 2 weeks. So be sure to check that out.
Well, it'll be a walk down memory lane for us. Maybe it'll be a walk down memory lane for you.
Well, hope you guys liked the video. If you did, be sure to like, favorite, subscribe. Oh, backtrack. I have the results of the poll for this previous week. And the video that I'm going to review for tomorrow is Here Comes the Boom, winning with 8 votes. Let's see, A Late Quartet had 1 vote, Alex Cross had 2 votes, Celeste and Jesse Forever had 2 votes, Deadfall had 2 votes, So Undercover and You May Not Kiss the Bride had 0 votes. Thank you for everyone who voted. Thank you to everyone who voted. And next week's poll will be in tomorrow's video, so be sure to check it out. If you like this video, be sure to like, favorite, and subscribe. You have anything to say?
If you like the commentary, don't forget to like, comment. If you grew up with the show, any of these shows, comment. List some that you grew up with. We might have grown up with it too. We might put it in a review. We might have forgot about it by accident. Just list down, and thank you for watching.
Yeah. See you guys in the next video.
See you in 2 weeks. Yeah. Ah. Oh, it's a curve.